Ahoy my people, hope you're good. Apologies for the hiatus I took in making those videos, but life gets in the way, you know how it is. I'm back now with some new content for you. Along with the documentaries that I'm still working on, I will be bringing more varieties in terms of topics in between documentaries to keep up with the consistency. So while listening to certain artists, I began to ask myself, what actually happened to those talented people? There's no way people don't mess with the music no more, so I kind of decided to do a little digging, and of course, the music business politics is involved. Amerie is one of those artists. She had us all vibing with her songs Why Don't We Fall in Love, One Thing, I'm Coming Out, More Than Love, and more. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and without any further ado, let's get it. Amerie Nicholson, birth name Rogers, first signed her major deal with Columbia in 2001. Amerie's first taste of the spotlight was as a featured artist on the single Rule by Nas. She sang the chorus in that song. She also recorded a song with Royce da 5'9" called Life. Then in 2002 she dropped her debut single, the flippin' fire track Why Don't We Fall in Love, which peaked at number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming a top 10 hit on the Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs chart. That song was dropped at the perfect moment in July of that year, as the song really gives that romantic summer vibes, and it's just a feel-good song, man. Like, it just portrays that time, that period in time perfectly, that summer vibe. I love it so much. Amerie's debut album, All I Have, was released in 2002 to positive reviews. It peaked at number 9 on the US Billboard 200, selling 89,000 copies in its first week of release. The year after that, she would win the Soul Train Music Award for Best New Artist, with her album also being nominated for Best R&B Album that same night. In 2002, Amerie was in high demand, as she also featured on the LL Cool J hit song, Paradise, as well as collaborating with Bow Wow and appearing on the soundtrack for the film Honey the next year. Amerie began dating her manager and future husband, Sony music executive Lenny Nicholson. The year later, in 2005, Amerie released One Thing, the smash hit lead single off her upcoming second album, Touch. The dance pop song, which sampled the Meters' 1970s funk recording Oh Calcutta, became her biggest hit to date. I remember that song was everywhere back in the day. I even remember it being part of the soundtrack for Hitch, a romantic movie starring Will Smith and Eva Mendes, which did huge numbers at the box office, so no doubt that definitely was a good look for Amerie. The song reached number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100 and topped the Hot R&B/Hip Hop Songs chart. The song was a top 5 hit in the UK, where it became one of the year's biggest selling singles and attained a top 10, top 20 positions across continental Europe. Touch was released in 2005 and peaked at number 5 on the Billboard 200, selling 124,000 copies in its first week, eventually going gold. The story behind One Thing is actually interesting, because after Rich Harrison, who's the song's co-writer, and Amerie finished working on the track, they felt like it was ready for release. Columbia Records, however, felt like the song's choruses needed to be bigger. They recommended that more music be added to the percussion-focused beat, but Harrison and Amerie replied that adding more to the beat would overpower the song. Harrison and Amerie returned to the studio several times to rework the track. Each time they submitted a new version to the label, Columbia told them that the song sounded unfinished, but wasn't able to specify what should be changed. The label continued to refuse the release of One Thing. In Amerie's words, the people just weren't getting it. So after being frustrated with the label, Amerie took matters in her own hands, deciding to leak One Thing to the US radio stations in an attempt to get it released officially. And guess what? It worked. The responses from the DJs and the listeners was very positive. People immediately fell in love with the song, and it received major radio play all over the country. Columbia Records attempted to suppress the song because it was an unofficial release, and because Jennifer Lopez, who was also signed to Columbia, wanted the song for her own album, Rebirth. She was ready to do anything to get it, and the label even wanted to give the song to J-Lo, but Amerie had cleverly gotten the song leaked by then, so it was too late. Man, these labels are something else, and shame on J-Lo for trying to swoop in and take a hit off another person. Work on your own stuff, man. The success of One Thing and Touch led to 2 Grammy Award nominations for Amerie in 2006, Best Female R&B Vocal Performance for One Thing and Best Contemporary R&B Album for Touch. It wasn't a terrible loss for J-Lo though, because she was still able to work with Rich Harrison on the hit song Get Right, which landed on her album, and before you knew it, Rich Harrison was in high demand, with several artists trying to get that signature Amerie sound on their tracks. If you pay close attention to Beyonce's album B-Day, released in 2006, you see that even she tried to mimic the sound, with songs such as Freakum Dress and Sugar Mama, which feature that heavy percussion, funk, soulful sound to them, and both songs were also written and produced by Rich Harrison, to no surprise. Because of this, comparisons between Beyonce and Amerie started surfacing around this time, with Amerie constantly being asked about her thoughts on this topic. Both Amerie and Beyonce didn't feed into this narrative that the public was trying to create. Soon after the success of One Thing, Amerie returned to the studio to work on her 3rd album, Because I Love It. This time without the involvement of Rich Harrison. The album's first single, Take Control, co-written by CeeLo Green, became a top 10 hit in the UK in 2007. The album performed poorly in comparison to her previous 2 albums, and the singer decided to part ways with Columbia after that, feeling like the label didn't properly market her album, that there were several delays in the release, and that there were lots of disagreements with the executives at Columbia. In the summer of 2008, Amerie signed a production deal with Island Def Jam, which allowed her to release her music under her own label, Phoenix Rising. Her first album under the new label would be In Love and War, released in November of 2009. Unfortunately, this album would perform even worse than her last effort. In 2011, Amerie and her manager Lenny Nicholson got married, later having 2 kids. In 2014, she became sort of a YouTuber, creating content focused on beauty and books. In 2017, Amerie decided to further go after her love for books, when she became a published author, releasing an anthology book titled Because You Love to Hate Me. In 2018, Amerie simultaneously released 2 albums, 4am Mulholland and After 4am. This was her first full-length album since 2009, and her second independent release following Drae. In 2019, she started a book club segment on her channel. As of 2023, Amerie lives a comfortable life with a husband and her children, doing what she loves, with occasional performances here and there, and sharing her passion for books with her audience. Good for her. We wish her nothing but the best. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what artists you'd like to add to our What Happened To list. I've got a few artists lined up already, but it's always good to hear your contributions and suggestions. Until next time, peace!